Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Ratio Podcast. I am Jen, JR Mom, joined as always by JR Dad.
Hi.
How's it going, JR Dad?
Pretty good.
Excellent. Good to be back with you.
Yeah, it's been forever. You were gone for weeks and weeks.
It was 4 nights, which is quite a long time for us.
It seemed like forever. I aged 3 days in 2 days.
It was 5 days. So if you aged 3 days, you actually came out ahead. You got younger while I was gone.
I aged decades.
Huh. Anyway.
I missed you so much.
The cocktail of the week this week is the Boston cocktail. That's what it's called. The Boston cocktail. Vink disapproves, apparently. It has gin, apricot brandy, lemon juice, and grenadine.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, we just tended to Vink. She just wanted to change positions.
She tricked me. She sometimes announces that she's going to change positions pretty much.
Yeah, she makes a bunch of noise to wake us up, and then she's like, I just want to go lay over there.
This happens in the middle of the night. She comes up, she butts my arm with her wet little cold nose, and then I pet her, and then she goes lies down somewhere else. She moves position.
Yeah. Anyway, that's our cocktail.
I think it's interesting, Jen.
Good, great.
Anyway, the cocktail's the Boston
cocktail. It's called the Boston cocktail. That's what it's called. In honor of...
I was going to say, why would we be talking about Boston?
Because I ran the Boston Marathon on Monday.
That is so awesome.
It was so awesome.
That's an elite club within the elite club of marathon runners. It really is.
I mean, I did not get there by being elite, though most people do. Usually you have to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and I am not fast enough to do that. So
I just mean in the sense of a very small proportion of the world population can say that they've run the Boston Marathon. For any reason, under any circumstances. Yeah,
I've been talking to a bunch of people about it. Absolutely being that stereotype of like, how do you know if someone won a marathon? Don't worry, they'll tell you. That 100% has been me.
You were excited about it.
So excited. But I've been talking to a lot of people about it and have many thoughts. But one of them, just kind of to this point, is that the Boston Marathon is at least like half pilgrimage as much as race. Like, I've run a ton of marathons, right? This is, I think, like my 43rd marathon or thing longer than a marathon. So it's not that big a deal. I mean, I go run that far just on a whim on a week. It could be a Thursday and you'd be like, you want to go run 26.2 miles? And I'd be like, sounds like a great plan. Let's go do it.
That's bizarre.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just like, I've gotten to a point in my training where like the distance is not a huge thing for me anymore. I absolutely will run that once or twice a month on the weekend.
That's right.
But the Boston Marathon, it's a point-to-point marathon. So it finishes in Boston, and you get on a bus at Boston Common in downtown Boston, and then you go 26.2 miles out to Hopkinton, Massachusetts, and then you run basically a straight line into Boston. So it's, it's not like other big city marathons where you're kind of running, you run up into this neighborhood and over into this neighborhood. You're running a straight line through all of these towns. The towns deeply embrace their role. So Hopkinton, where it starts, like their thing is that they're the start line of the Boston Marathon.
That's the only thing I know about Hopkinton. That's the only time I've ever heard it.
It's a tiny little town. Yeah. Tiny little town. There is one guy. So you start, there's 26.2 miles. That's how long the race is. So you start, there's 26.2 miles to go. And we will go past one guy's house, and on his mailbox, he has a permanent thing with a sign at the top that says 25.6 and an arrow.
To the finish.
25.6 miles to the finish. Like, how cool is that? I mean, it's just...
I mean, it was the 125th running?
Yeah.
Is it? I mean, it's been around for such a long time, unchanged.
Yeah, that's right.
That course has not changed.
And I think last year was the only year that it didn't happen. Maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
Because of COVID. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely, if marathons are a religious thing for you, it is definitely the pilgrimage.
It's going to, and here we go again with Boston, damn it. If like going to Fenway to watch a baseball game, you'll be there watching baseball, but you're always feeling like it's special because of the place and the history and it hasn't changed. It's not a new stadium. I mean,
that's right. I think Fenway and Wrigley Field are like, if you're a baseball person, it doesn't matter if you're a Cubs fan or a Sox fan, like you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like those are the two super old classic ballparks, and they don't have any of the stuff that like a new modern convenient ballpark has, but they're like amazing.
That's why. Yeah.
Places. Yeah.
That's why they're good. Anyway.
But also, if you will allow my digression, you can skip ahead like 2 minutes if you don't care about me talking about running. is that like big city marathons are, if you run them, it's tens of thousands of people. I think there were 20,000 people in Boston. Chicago's closer to 40, all these big city marathons. There's tens of thousands of people. And you're going out like doing this kind of epic hard thing that pushes your body beyond the limits. And it's this like great celebration of just like being alive and the amazing stuff that you can like make our very fragile bodies do. And it's a celebration of what has been months of training.
Yeah.
And then hundreds of thousands of people come out and they do all of the best things that humanity does. Like they play music and they dance around and they have parties and like kids are out there and people are out there and they're like cooking food and they're cheering for complete strangers. Some of them like set up little aid stations. So like 20,000 people are going to run past your house and you buy Halloween candy and give it to them.
Yeah, that's right.
And
people give out Skittles or whatever candy might be good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Skittles.
Anything works. Yeah. And, one of the places, you go past a lot of colleges in the Boston Marathon, and one of them's Wellesley. You can hear those girls screaming, right? They cancel classes for the day. And, I think they probably have a lot to drink in the morning. And then they come out and they just yell for 3 hours while everybody runs past.
That's so good.
And, someone, not at Wellesley, but someone on the course was out there with a megaphone. They're just talking at the runners and they're like, they look at me and they're like, you. Red looks great on you. Also, I like your skirt. Like, keep going, right? Like, it's just being like kind and supportive and enthusiastic about total strangers. Like, you are celebrating them doing this epic thing and how much it is like a celebration of life. So like big marathons like that are always like a great thing for that. And then this, the Boston Marathon, for all of these, little towns along the course, like it's the big thing, right? Everybody comes out. It's a big party. Everything shuts down. And there was one guy out there in his, like in his little travel chair, pop out, sitting on the side of the road, also with a megaphone. And he's like, we've been waiting 2 years for you to come back.
Oh.
Right? Because they ran it in 2019. I was supposed to run it in 2020 and it was canceled in March or April of 2020. And they rescheduled it for September. And then that obviously got canceled as well. Normally it's in the spring, and then this year they didn't even bother scheduling it for April. They ran it in October this week. And so it's like all these towns have been waiting since March of 2019 for the runners to come back because it's like the big day. And so like this, G.R. Dad had signed up for the Marine Corps Marathon, which was scheduled for the end of October, in a couple of weeks, and it's gone virtual. Like it's been canceled for COVID. So the fact that like we got to run this, it's like the marathon is just the opposite of COVID because it's about like being healthy and the amazing things that your body can do. And it's,
community sharing.
And it's like also the opposite of like the death cult pro-COVID assholes that have like really ruined a lot of my optimism and faith in humanity in the last year and a half, because it's the opposite of that kind of like, so I'm selfish, like I can do whatever I want, like I don't care about you, like if my grandma has to die, like it's worth it for me to be able to go out to a restaurant. Like that's not the attitude of the people who are like out there celebrating you doing this thing that like they can't leave their driveways, right? Like it's incredibly inconveniencing for people, and they're like, we can't leave, party. Yeah, everybody come over and we'll get a keg and it's a party.
Drink.
So
but they don't have to, right? They're not volunteers. They're not. It's not organized.
There's just people at their
they're
house.
Not conscripted into aid stations.
No.
They're just hanging out and being joyful.
Like everybody come over and we'll put the lawn chairs and blankets out and watch the people run past and have
amazing.
A good time.
It's kind of like what you did with this. This account, but I digress probably, just sharing joy and being affirming.
It's an amazing thing. And after for me, like I run way farther than that, but having those big city marathons go away has been a big hole in my life, which is not the biggest hole that anybody has experienced in COVID, but is a thing that I have really felt the absence of. And then to be able to do it and do this like super iconic one with all of these people who also, the Boston Marathon bombing, which was I think 2013, like that's still very much on the mind. Like there were snipers and scopes on top of every other house in Hopkinton.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, the military was everywhere over this course. So the bombing is still very much at the forefront of the minds of everybody there too, to, have this day of great celebration disrupted in other ways. So it was I don't usually like cry during marathons. I'm like, great. Like, let's go do this thing. Like, it's great. I was like crying the whole time. And oh my God, the people who showed up. So, I talked about this last time, I think, right? Like, I was fundraising for a charity. And so I asked for donations over on my running account, but like everybody who follows me on my running account follows the dog account too. It's just a subset of dog people.
It's quite a Venn diagram.
Oh my gosh. So the most people who have ever cheered for me in a race were here. You guys made posters for me. Like, my favorite poster, because I wasn't taking a lot of pictures when I'd run, so I'd like go up, I would like hug people, I'd be like, send me a picture of your poster. Somebody made one and it had a picture of hops and a picture of a blow high and a picture of a leg, and it said, do it for the leg. But people had like printouts. Someone had a flat Vink that I had sent them, a 3-foot life-size cardboard cutout of Vinkman. So I'm like running down the course and like, there's Vink. Oh. And I was like, oh my God, it's Vink. Someone had a Golden Ratio University shirt on. They printed out tweets. I had written like supportive tweets, and they printed it out, and they're like, here, I thought you might need this today.
So
and,
perfect.
Hugged people. There was some woman, I'm sorry I didn't get your name. I was at like an early-ish aid station where they're giving you Gatorade, and I was drinking my Gatorade at maybe like mile 8, and I hear one of the volunteers who's like handing out the Gatorade screaming. I mean, people scream all the time, cheer for people, and I just kind of look over, and she's looking at me. I could not understand a single word she was saying. She was so excited. And then I heard golden retriever. So I was like, she's cheering for me. So I ran over. I gave her a hug, which is still like, I don't know. Am I supposed to hug people now? I don't know. I'm super vaccinated. It's fine. Yeah. And so I'm sorry I didn't get your name. Whoever this was, I think had tweeted at me ahead of time, like, I'll be working one of the aid stations, but I just didn't put it together. I was like, who is that very enthusiastic person over there? Oh, they're cheering for me.
Can't mean me. It was a good day to forget your headphones.
Yeah, a lot of times when I run training, I always wear headphones, and I was going to bring some to the race, but I didn't. It's good that I didn't.
Sounds like you had a lot of good distractions.
It was just amazing, like how many people were out there, like specifically for me and cheering for me. I've never had that in a race before.
You deserve it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like my mom she came to my first marathon and has come to one of my other races. And, I think if she could have, she would have come to this one. But like, if a person comes for you, you maybe get to see them twice if you're lucky when you're running.
It's hard work being a spectator. I mean, I've avoided it by running with you.
It's really hard.
Not running with you, running with you.
And for this race especially, it would be hard because like in Chicago, you can like take the L 5 stops and be like 8 miles ahead of the runners because of the course.
It's so stressful though, because you always think you've missed your runner. Like
I have definitely missed people before.
They've passed where you are.
You get there and they're gone already.
But usually they haven't because of the way the start works and that there's always a delay. But you're just like there for half an hour and you're just like, oh.
Are they coming?
They should have been here 10 minutes ago. Yeah. Where are they? Did I miss them? I mean, it was 4,000 people have passed by now. Did I miss them?
And then if you wait too long, then you might not be able to make it to the next place that you're going to meet them.
It's very stressful, logistically,
it is. So even like if people come out, I get to see them once. But here there were so many people out there cheering for me. It was really amazing. So I was kind of weepy the whole time. And then certainly when I like turned onto Boylston Street in Boston and like you see this, the finish line of the Boston Marathon, which like you all know from watching footage of the Boston Marathon bombings, but also, I mean, just like this iconic finish line, I was very weepy the whole day.
It's great.
It was awesome.
It's great that is back, and hopefully other marathons will come back too, because it is really a good thing for the whole
everything
experience. Everything is so positive and so affirming and so encouraging.
Yeah,
it's great.
So I mean, they're coming. Chicago was on Sunday. Boston was on Monday. Chicago went.
Chicago went. Yeah, but Marine Corps is not going in DC. Yeah.
So anyway, thank you again for everybody who supported me and supported the charity, but also just who showed up and cheered for me. It was, oh my God. And then, so they had a thing where like, if for a runner, you can submit like through the app, you could submit a cheer. So you could like pick a picture or just like type some text. And then when I'm walking through the finish line area, I step over a little timing strip. So it knows like, oh, Jen is there. And then on the like Jumbotron, they put up a message for you. So they showed one for me, which is super cool. And then they're like, we'll email you all of the cheers that people have sent you after the race, because they can only put one up. And people were like, oh, we've sent you some, so there's going to be more. And I was like, great. So I got the link and I click on it, and just like the page is blank. But I knew there was at least one because they showed it on the Jumbotron.
Right.
And I was like, well, it's like 20,000 people just finished. They're probably all loading it at the same time. I kept trying to load. I was trying different browsers, just like blank. And I was like, all right. And then I was coming home. Like I went from Boston to DC and then DC to Miami. So I'm in Miami at the airport waiting. And then all of a sudden I see like a bunch of stuff on the page. And then it like auto reloaded, and I was like, oh crap. And then I see like the little scroll thing on the side, like moving. And the reason that it didn't load is because there were like 600 messages with pictures that people sent. I just wasn't waiting long enough for them all to load up, because it loads them all before it shows them. So it was amazing, like the pictures that people dug out and like all of the messages that they sent. So I've got this PDF, this 70-page PDF saved on my computer.
Did you get weepy again?
Oh, I 100% was weepy. 100% was weepy in the airport looking at my computer.
Nice.
It was
so nice.
So nice. Thanks, everybody. Enough about me.
Well, you did have to run it, so good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
I did it.
You're not going to say this, but I'm going to say it. Good job, and thanks for letting everyone support you, because it's fun to support you.
Thank you. Yeah, someday my butt won't hurt, but today is still not that day.
Unbelievable.
It kind of hurt in the race, but
I swear I would donate my butt to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's getting slowly better, and I got another shot to help it get better. When I stopped through DC, I got shots. I got poked all over the place. Hopefully I'll feel better soon.
No, it's too bad it's not a match medically, and it would be a step down for you butt wise. So,
your butt?
But I would still donate it.
I mean, you need one.
It works though. I mean,
yeah.
It doesn't look good, but it works.
I think it's great.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, let's do dog updates.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let's start with Hops. Hopper got her stitches out.
Yeah. Got her bandage off first, and then her stitches out. Yep. And it all went. She's doing great.
Yeah, it looks good.
She's healing as hard as anyone can.
Yep. Yeah, she sleeps a lot, which I think is just her recovering, but she seems happy, seems comfortable.
Yeah, she when she lies down, she's pain-free. Right? She's not. I mean, it does show the contrast. Before, when she had her leg, she would lie down and just pant and be uncomfortable, and it was clearly not nice, not good. Now she lies down and she's like, "This is nice. This is fine."
She just sleeps, comfortably, quietly sleeps.
And she still, when she walks around, she still pants a lot, because I think it's hard. It's like being on crutches. I think
it's a lot of effort for her.
Being on crutches is like super hard. It's a very hard workout. I hate, everyone hates being on crutches because it is so much work. And for her, it's a lot of work. But today she was roaming around. She eats grass. If she gets tired, she lies down outside in the sun. She's, can't swim yet.
Yeah, I mean, we got to wait until it's like, there's still some scabs and stuff over the incisions. So once those are gone and it's really just like fully healed, hopefully a week or so, then she can swim. But we did talk to the surgeon this week. So he's like, the first biopsy just said it was a sarcoma. Now, this is the biopsy he did on the leg after they amputated, or the lab did on the leg. So the first guy did a biopsy that said specifically it was synovial sarcoma. This biopsy just said sarcoma, and he's like, so it could be synovial sarcoma. It could be something else. I don't remember the name of. Histo something. That one's that we don't remember the name of is bad. That's why we're not remembering it. He's like, the life expectancy is frankly days, if that's what it is. Like, it's just, you can't do anything about it. But if it's synovial sarcoma, the life expectancy is 18 months to 3 years. And he's like, we'll send it out and get it tested. Would you guys consider doing chemo? And I'm like, probably not. I'm like, look, she's 8. If the life expectancy is 18 months to 3 years, I mean, one, she has arthritis. And so the likelihood that now she has arthritis in her elbows, or her one elbow, right? So that she already was uncomfortable. the likelihood that she's going to go more than 2 years without having her quality of life really reduced because that arthritis gets worse, like, that's low. And I told him, I'm like, look, like, if she were to make it 3 years, like, 11 is the expiration date for a golden. He's like, 11 is the expiration date for a golden with you guys. It's like 9 for other people. And I'm like,
they're big dogs. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's how long they live, right? Like 10-ish. So, you know, if she were 3, I'd be like, yeah, like, let's do everything. But at 8, there's so many other things that can go wrong. Like, we know she has the arthritis. She could get another kind of cancer. She could get any of the other things that kill dogs. Why would we put her and us through, like, back and forth up and back to Miami, or leaving her up there and, you know, whatever.
And the devastation of chemo.
Yeah. Like,
or
put her through that to what? Be like, okay, well, say then her life expectancy is 5 years, but that would be 13. Like, there's no way she's going to be comfortable at 13 with her arthritis and not get anything else. Like,
whatever else happens, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, you know, his outlook for her is 6 to 18 months is probably his guess for her life expectancy, because there's a 50% chance that this cancer comes back in another joint.
She's running out of joints.
Well, yeah, you can't amputate anything else. So,
tail, maybe tail. I'm banking on tail.
You know,
70 months.
70 months. No one has given us 70 months, I gotta say.
I think it was implied.
I don't know if she got it in her tail, if I'd be like, let's amputate the tail and keep trying.
Yeah, she could have a little nubbin.
It's not a matter of the nubbin. It's like, if it has come back a second time, are we going to put her through another surgery? And he goes nodding yes. I
Tail,
think
you do yourself. You'd be like, okay, bring on the hydrogen peroxide.
Dear Lord.
Here, drink this bourbon. Bite on this stick, Hops.
None of this would happen.
Civil War.
So we'll see. I think if we kind of put our minds in the 6 to 18 month category and then be surprised. But I think 18 months, given the arthritis and everything, is kind of reasonable. And we'll see what happens with the cancer.
I'm still rejecting reality.
That's fine. So you go with 70 months.
She's still my girl. She's still 3 years old in my mind. I don't accept her as 8 years old at all.
I know.
She's a little puppy, partly. She was the puppy for so long. I think
puppy
she was
Hops.
a puppy for 3 years. Puppy Hops.
So anyway, we are sending it out. We're getting like the extended biopsy. I think it will come up as the synovial sarcoma because that's what it came up with on the first one. So it'd be, but we didn't ask enough questions to know like if they just did a like lighter weight biopsy to get a general cancer here, or if it was inconclusive and like looks like probably synovial sarcoma, but they want to do more tests. In any case, we're going to get it sent out, but it probably is not going to impact what we do with her, which is we hope that she's happy with what we've done. And
this leg is getting a lot of attention somewhere. It's like some kind of medical examiner's office where it's like it's on this big silver slab and there's like 6 doctors around there like rubbing their beards going, looks like natural causes. No, we'd have to do a tox screen. It looks, there's some defensive wounds.
You've been watching too much NCIS.
Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Absolutely.
So anyway, that's the Hopper update. So she's doing good. Frankly, I'm going to be happy when she's healed up. I've bought her a little life jacket and that we can take her in the water and let her swim around and watch her fish. And she'll stand there and the weight will be off her joints.
Life jacket's a good idea because I was wondering if she's going to like swim a little crooked, right? If she's just pushing with one leg, it'd be hard. But she only walks with one leg. She just puts it in the middle, so she could probably compensate.
We'll see. I mean, I think having because they kind of use the front legs to keep their heads up when they're swimming. So having the life jacket, I think, will help with that. And if she doesn't need it, whatever, we'll just have a life jacket. But I think as a starting place, as she adapts to it, it's good to have her in it. And if she wants to spend all day for the rest of her days standing out there with the fish, like that's fine.
Yeah, no, that's great. And if we can put, if she likes it, we'll put a shark fin on it or, some kind of alien thing or a palm tree or something.
I mean, we could put her in the shark fin life jacket too.
Yeah, but is it floaty enough, right?
Yeah.
That's the next step. That's right.
Anyway,
the doctor and the tech seemed quite pleased / impressed with how quickly how well she's progressing and how well she's adapted, right?
Yep.
They the surgeon sort of said the things I was most worried about haven't happened.
Yep.
which was not healing and not getting up after surgery, not using the other leg. So she's a trooper. She's doing great.
Yep, she's doing great. So that's Hops. I always take notes so I remember all the stuff to talk about. I have puking guac escape.
Oh, geez.
This happened while I was gone.
It's not in that order, but it is in that order of priority, not chronologically, yes.
Guac drinks seawater when he swims aggressively, and when you drink too much seawater, there's much puking to happen.
Guac did the thing again where he was standing out in the water. I'd turn around to, like, you know, deal with another dog or carry Hops up the stairs or whatever, you know, with this dog Popcorn. And I turn back around and Guac is gone. And I go, uh-oh. So I look in the bushes. I walk once around the house. I start calling. And no, he's swimming back from the 2 neighbors down.
Cat food house.
Cat food fishing.
There's nobody there right now, but...
There is now. I don't think there was at the time.
Oh,
yeah, weirdly. But I think he just got bored and started swimming away.
Yep.
Jerk.
So he's now in double secret probation. He's not allowed to be outside without a human.
Oh, and then he puked all over the place for a day and a half.
Yeah, because he drank, when he swims real hard, he just swallows a lot of seawater.
Hey, it wasn't seawater that he was throwing up. That was the problem.
Well, it makes it brings everything with.
If it were just seawater, I would have been a lot less upset about it. But it was much more. Yeah. Stomach.
But yeah, so now Guac is not allowed outside unless one of us is there actively watching him. No back turning. Yep. Just Guac alone, basically.
Yep. So he's had much less water time. Much less.
Yep. But
too bad.
If he's going to be a jerk, then that's what happens.
Too bad.
And then I have Not Vood's Food's Corner. What did Vood eat this week that he shouldn't eat?
Oh my God.
2 towels.
Yeah, dish towel kind of sized towels. Yeah, not bath towels, I think. But those were discovered when I picked up poop.
Dish towels. It's shocking that he has not needed foreign object surgery. This is because, I think we said this before, the phenobarbital has a side effect of pica, which is eating stuff that's not food. And one of the big reasons that, when we first got him, the vet wanted to reduce his phenobarbital is because he was eating all of the stuff that he shouldn't. We had to be so vigilant.
Like
my sweatshirt arm. Yeah. Just chewed that off and ate it.
Yeah.
She's like, eventually he's going to have to get foreign object surgery if he keeps doing this. And so, we got him back. He was on 100 milligrams a day for a long time. And that way cut back on...
It did.
I mean, he would eat not Vood's foods all the time, but he was not aggressively looking for stuff to pull down. And so now, after the whole seizure thing, we have increased it. So now he's on 150 milligrams a day instead of 100. And we can tell a big difference. He's not as stable on his feet, but also he really is just anything that's not food he's going for. He's sticking his head in cabinets and pulling stuff off tables.
He, sort of independent though, I think. He was eating those palm berries,
fruits,
palm berries from the...
He had 50, you said.
Oh my God.
They're the size
terrible. He puked too. I mean, it was pukorama while you weren't there.
Like an unshelled almond.
Persimmon.
Persimmon? Sure.
They're orange and squishy.
Like a big grape.
Yeah. Like a big, often reddish grape. But a little bigger than that maybe.
Yeah.
Weirdly sort of fibery.
Yeah.
And he initially, I knew he'd eaten them because he threw them up. He threw up about 20 of them. And then he threw up another few. And this isn't our tree, right? We don't even have a tree like that.
Neighbor's tree, dropping them in the yard.
Hanging over our yard. And he goes in between the Rika palms and the fence where you can't really see what he's doing. He just goes, he's all of a sudden disappeared.
Mischief.
Yeah, he's in the jungle there.
Yep.
So it was a terrible experience all around. Probably not for him, but for me, it was terrible.
We always have to look which of these are potentially toxic. And so after, Dear Dad's he ate all of these things, and now I think I've picked them all up, but I finally looked it up when I got home and they're not toxic, but it says it can cause stomach upset. And we're like, yep, check.
Does it make him make weird noises? Because that, check.
Yeah. He ate Nathan, the company Nathan, who makes my hydration packs.
Yes.
They sent me, so the Boston Marathon was you can't have hydration packs, which is kind of normal, but they're you can't even have a vest with a lot of pockets, which I got to say, there were a number of people walking to the start line who had vests on without the hydration pack. So I could have done it, but you don't want to plan on that and then not have a backup plan.
Right.
So anyway, I was like, well, I've got to now find a thing to carry my stuff. I mean, I brought my phone, but even if I didn't, like, you have to have like your gel packs. And I didn't have enough, like extra, I had some biofreeze packs and some lubrication and stuff. There's just stuff to carry with you. I'm like, I got to get a waist pack or something. And, it's like 4 days before I'm leaving. And the people at Nathan were like, we'd be happy to send you something. And I was like, yes, I love you guys
happy
so
to
much.
use it. Yeah.
So they sent me this waist pack, and it has a spot for a bottle in the back, like a soft flask bottle. So it squishes down flat. But if you fill it up, you can put a liter of water in there, I think. And so I had taken that out because I don't run with water bottles. And Vood's got that, I guess, while I was gone too. He ate the top off.
He also went to the bed and ate the corner off the sheet.
I forgot.
Like the top sheet is hanging down a little bit in the foot end of the bed, and he just, I mean, this was like, I caught him, right? I was doing
Otherwise he would
laundry,
have eaten the entire sheet.
and I heard like this weird chewing sound and otherwise silence, and that's always a red flag.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's a little too quiet. And so I ran over there, and he's like chomping on the edge of the sheet, bit a big hole in it. Didn't eat much of it, but he was working on it.
Jerk.
That's a big sheet if he wants to.
It's a king-size sheet.
If he wants to
can't fit that all in him.
it is a king size. It's the biggest one there is.
Yeah.
So he's a goofball.
The neurologist called, was that today or yesterday?
Yes, earlier today, I think.
Haven't had a lot of sleep this week, so it's all kind of running together. Yeah, so the neurologist called, our neurologist, Southeast Veterinary,
Referral? No, this is VCM.
Veterinary Neurology 7.
Oh, well, look
Southeast Veterinary Neurology in Miami. Just freaking amazing these people are. I mean, they're the ones where, like, if he's, like, they're open a certain amount of time, but they're like, we're 24 hours. If you have a problem, call literally any time in the middle of the night, and they'll put a doctor on the phone. And if he's having seizures, if he's having a neurological emergency, just give them 10 minutes and then they'll be there, and then they have an emergency room and they'll staff it for you, for your one dog, right? They'll come in and do it. I mean,
and set it up for you to be received.
And then take care of him.
That's great.
It's amazing. And now they call like every 2 weeks and they're like, how's Voodoo doing? Like, just,
I mean,
has he had any seizures? No?
He's kind of an idiot, guys.
And so she called this week. I'm like, he ate 2 dish towels. And she's like, oh no. She's like, you have to. I'm like, I know. I'm like, this is because, like, the last time I talked, I'm like, he's on too much phenobarbital.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, this is because of all the phenobarbital. And I mean, we have a plan, right? She's like, after he's been 2 months without a seizure, then we'll start doing adjustments a little at a time. But she was quite alarmed.
Well, it was a real change, because we'd been used to, if it didn't really look like an attractive snack or food, it could be in his reach.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's shifted to, no, his standards have changed completely.
Mm-hmm. He really is actively looking for anything to pull off. Yeah. So anyway, that's Foods. CB, so Jared Dad's like, is CB going to get the trophy again this week for lowest maintenance dog? And I'm going with no.
Yeah.
He's a high maintenance dog.
He's still really like, he very much is needy. He's needy.
He's got a lot of anxiety and he wants it dealt with, but he doesn't, like, if you pet him, it doesn't help. Like, there's nothing that actually helps the anxiety.
No.
He just stares and looks at you. He will accept food, but that's probably why he was 130 pounds when he came into rescue. He just looks and he's like, just give me food. Just give me food.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. And then as soon as he's done eating the food, he's ready for more, but you can't pet him. He won't get up on the couch. Like whatever you do, it doesn't help. Nothing helps. So he's been especially high maintenance. So even though he's not problematic like everybody else.
I mean, look, parenthesis that we probably don't have to say. We still love all these dogs. They're just goofballs and knuckleheads.
Problematic,
but we still love them, and we still pet the life out of them. We are probably annoyingly affectionate to them sometimes.
Remy doesn't think so. Remy thinks he needs more affection.
Yeah, Remy's got a deficit. Yeah.
So speaking of Remy, all right. So he'd been getting 8 units of insulin twice a day. We took him in for a glucose curve. His glucose was in like the upper 200s. It's supposed to be around 100. Upper 200s, that's too high for him to get the surgery. I mean, that's too high, period. He has glucose in his urine, which means his blood sugar is too high. His fructosamine, which is like a 2-week average measure, too high, shows that his glucose is uncontrolled. He had a UTI, which you get when you have glucose in your urine because it breeds bacteria. Everything, his blood sugar is too high.
He needed more insulin.
So, like we had had him on 7, and then we put him on 8, and it's still really high. And so we're like, let's put him on, talking with the vet, obviously, let's put him on 10. Like if it's this high at 8, he needs a lot more control. So we put him on 10 about a week ago. Like when I left for Boston, you took it was like 235, right? Yeah. Just took it one time. Yeah. And it takes like a week for the insulin to really start taking effect. So last night I took it before dinner and it was like 36. This is bad. Like it gets below 80, it's not good. It gets below like 50 or 60 and you're in like, could go into a coma or die zone. Yeah. It's 36. So I'm like, oh, that's not good. Gave him dinner. Let's do a glucose curve tomorrow. So this morning we checked it and it was like 100, like 106 right before breakfast, which is a good number, but usually it's high before breakfast because he gets the insulin with the meals. So he's been 14 hours without insulin. So it should be higher. The insulin brings the blood sugar down. So it should be kind of high before he eats because then he will eat, but he also gets the insulin and it's 100. So we give it to him and then an hour later we check it and it's like 50. And then it's like 40. So it's going down even though he's eaten. So like I made him bread with like Skippy peanut butter and honey on it.
He liked it.
It was tasty. It had a lot of sugar in there. And that kind of got it back up over a couple hours to like 86, which is like the low end of normal. And then it starts dropping again. And it got down to like 60 and I had to give him more food. So we talked to the vet. So he didn't get any insulin after dinner today to kind of let his sugars come back up. And then we're going to try him on 9 because we were at 8 and it was too high. Now 10 is too low. Hopefully 9 will be right. If not, we're going to try 8.5.
But remember a while back, we had him on 15 or 16.
He's on 16 twice a day.
That's when he crashed. But
no, it was still too high on the 16 a day until he started on the thyroid medicine.
Oh, right. And then
then the 16 was way too high because the thyroid medicine adjusted the stuff. So then we cut it back to like the lowest possible dose. And that was too low. And the 8 was too low because blood sugar was too high. The 10 was way too high. So we're at least finding our way to the range.
What did the vet say? Maybe 8.5 could be
She
the
said,
sweet
well,
spot.
we'll try. And if it doesn't work, if 9 doesn't work, we'll try 8.5.
Yeah, we're getting close. Maybe we're getting close, but
there's not many options
swinging
left.
Back and forth.
I mean, it's like picking 8.5 on that tiny syringe is going to be hard. The difference between 8 and 8.5 is
it's a tiny drop. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can't do 8 1/4.
8.5 may even be illusory too. Yeah.
So we'll see. Hopefully the 9 will work, but it's frustrating because every time we have to make a change, then it adds 2 weeks until we can even, we have to wait like a week, then we'll do a test and then get him into the vet and they'll do a test. And then if that test looks okay, then we would do the blood work and then we would schedule him for the surgery. So the whole process gets pushed back by at least 2 weeks every time we have to adjust his insulin.
And he still can't see so good.
Yeah. I mean, like at all, basically.
But he seems to be compensating pretty well. I mean, he's otherwise a happy little guy.
Yeah. Yes. No, he's getting happier.
I think of him as a little guy. He's 85 pounds. He's a big guy.
He does act like he's about 4 months old, though.
Yeah. He still bites everything. I mean, me.
He's chompy.
He's chompy, like a puppy.
So that's Remy. Vink, she's doing, I think her hot spots are doing better, and she's
still got the skin thing, and now she's taken to chasing imaginary lizards outside.
Well, they're not imaginary. They're there.
Sometimes.
She's kind of obsessed with
Sometimes they're there. She'll whine to go outside to check on if there's a lizard.
Yep.
Sometimes there is, which is all she needs.
Yep.
That's all the reinforcement she needs.
Okay. Do you want to do the German word of the week or taste of the keys first?
Taste of the keys, because I don't know it.
Okay. So I had read this, but also a friend of the squad sent it to me. Miami mayoral candidate Pitchell, the guy's name Pitchell, arrested in Florida Keys, charged with impersonating officer.
Ugh.
Okay. So Frank Pitchell, a controversial candidate for mayor of Miami, was arrested by Monroe County Sheriff Friday morning on a felony charge of impersonating a police officer. He turned himself in, was released on bond. Okay. Pitchell, 59, is accused of flashing a badge and claiming to be a Monroe deputy while he was sitting in a parked BMW in front of a house in Key Largo on May 30th.
Oof.
His charging and arrest confirm an allegation made by embattled Miami Police Chief Art Acevedo, who wrote a memo last week that Pitchell was going to be arrested. In that 8-page document, Acevedo wrote that Pitchell was, quote, working as a private investigator on behalf of Miami Commissioner Joe Carroyo and other elected officials. Pitchell, who is a licensed private investigator, is challenging Miami Mayor Francis Suarez in November. Carroyo, during a city commission meeting, denied hiring Pitchell as a private investigator.
Oh, this is very mysterious now.
I have never, absolutely never have hired Mr. Pitchell to be a private investigator for me, nor has Mr. Pitchell been a private investigator for me gratis. Never. I can't be more clear, he said.
That's pretty clear.
Did not happen. An arrest warrant was obtained by the Herald, the Miami Herald, reveals more details about the evidence compiled against him. According to the warrant, an off-duty Miami-Dade police officer who was visiting a friend in Key Largo noticed Pitchell sitting in his white BMW in the residential neighborhood on May 30th. The officer and his friend confronted Pitchell, who, quote, produced a gold badge and identified himself as a Monroe County police officer. Oof. The driver stated he was, quote, waiting for relief, according to the warrant. Pitchell, deputies said, drove off after the off-duty officer and friend went back inside. But the interaction was captured on video surveillance with audio of the man believing to be Pitchell saying, don't worry, I'm Monroe County, according to the warrant. The off-duty officer ran Pitchell's tag number and later provided it to Monroe deputies. Another neighbor who also happened to be an off-duty Miami-Dade cop. So I'll just pause here and say Key Largo is the first key in the chain. So it's an hour and a half, 2-hour drive from us. So there are plenty of people who live in Key Largo, which is here in the Keys, but work in Miami.
Yeah, you can, without traffic, could be 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So this a neighbor in Key Largo who also was an off-duty Miami-Dade cop told deputies that he had an encounter with Pitchell that day. He identified Pitchell and said the man had walked into his backyard and asked if he knew a contractor named Freddie. Oof. The neighbor said no, and Pitchell left the property. During the short contact, Pitchell was looking around as if looking for something, the warrant said. It was uncertain if Freddie was a reference to Mayor Suarez, who's believed to have been in a home on the block that day and the target of Pitchell's surveillance.
Very weird.
Yeah. The neighbor picked Pitchell out of a photo lineup. There's more evidence. A police license plate reader noted Pitchell's white BMW leaving Key Largo 3 times that summer. So that would be on Card Sound Road. That's the toll road to get from Miami to here.
Huh.
In his arrest warrant, Monroe detective Ian Barnett notes that he spoke with a Miami Internal Affairs detective, Orlando Benitez, who indicated there's a current ID investigation, I guess that's Internal Affairs ID, into an incident on the block where photographs were taken of a City of Miami official. When asked about Pitchell, Benitez indicated he may have been involved, the deputy wrote.
Man.
He says, very complicated, but basically this dude's running for mayor and he's trying to get dirt on potentially the mayoral candidate, the
by
police.
Impersonating a deputy, Monroe County deputy. That is terrible.
Yeah, you can't do that.
I hope they crack down on that, regardless of all the other scandal stuff, right? You can't. That's how people get kidnapped and disappeared and assaulted and all these things. It's guys acting like cops.
Well, he was taken to jail, but then he got let out of jail. Sorry.
First part I like, second part I don't like so much.
Okay, what's the German word of the week?
Geisterbahn. I want to do Geisterbahn.
Ghost train.
Yeah, ghost ride. And it's like a generic term for a haunted ride. Germany's very standardized.
So it's kind of like, we were talking about what this thing is before the podcast. It sounds like it's kind of like, so it's a thing that would be at a carnival.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the Tunnel of Love.
Yes, it's
but
exactly
haunted
like
house.
Isn't Tunnel of Love not haunted house? I don't think
Tunnel of Love, I think, is like all romantic. There's like cupids and like you're supposed to smooch on your boyfriend and girlfriend.
Oh, I thought it was scary and you're supposed to jump in your boyfriend's arms because you're scared.
I don't think so. I confess I have never been in a Tunnel of Love.
I think it's, I don't know. It could have been in like Stephen King movies or something. I think Tunnel.
Well, I mean, everything is
it's true.
creepy in those.
Anyway, Germany only has one haunted. Well, not one, but they have like a standard kind of haunted ride where you just get in a little buggy, and then you go around in this darkened area, and ghosts jump out at you, and vampires hang down at you, and bats flop across your face.
Yeah, no, a Tunnel of Love is a relaxing, romantic ride encouraging the couple to cuddle. Oh, so traditionally, the earliest manifestations of a Tunnel of Love, there was the relaxing, romantic ride or the spooky horror ride encouraging the couple to cling to one another.
Yeah.
But I would say, I mean, having heard of Tunnels of Love now, like they tend to be decorated with like hearts on the outside and have more of a romantic theme. But this is the same idea. You get in a little train, you go through a tunnel, but it has spooky ghosts instead of cupids and
I mean,
music.
Disney has a fancy version, right, with the
Haunted Mansion,
but you walk
such a
there.
Good ride.
This isn't.
The Haunted Mansion.
I walked through some of the.
There's a ride. You sit in it. Madame Tussauds has one of those too. But the Haunted Mansion, 100% sit in a car and it trains you through there.
Anyway,
like it's a small world.
Geisterbahn is just the generic name for. The ghost ride, the haunted ride, which is every German carnival, because they're all traveling carnivals. There's only like 3 models.
Yeah.
And they all have a Geisterbahn, and they all have, some kind of drop thing, and they all have some.
I think American carnivals are pretty much like that. They all pretty much have the same thing.
Carnivals, yes, that's right.
Yeah.
They don't have theme parks in Germany, or very few, like they do here, where there's Six Flags, and that's a big chain. King's Dominion, and I mean, all of these have multiple individual rides for each theme park, right? You don't have
but carnival, like the traveling carnivals, they're all pretty much the same.
It's much more like
rides,
that. Yeah. You have a shooting gallery, you have some games of chance,
Ferris wheel,
skill. You have a rickety Ferris wheel where my dad said you can hear the rust like falling down the steel
like
girders as it turns. I'm not going on that thing. You can hear the rust. Because they assembled them and disassembled them, like carnivals here. Yeah.
I've been to those, but the ones that came to the little town I was in, did not have a Tunnel of Love or a Geisterbahn kind of thing.
It's true.
They had other rides, but nothing that long.
Oh yeah. How about the big swing ship?
Sometimes I think when I was a kid that wasn't really there, but I think it's at them now. The big ship thing they had at Oktoberfest when we went. It was giant.
That's part of the standard carnival.
The carnival stuff that was like at Oktoberfest is bigger than the normal traveling carnival stuff at American small town carnivals.
So much more violent than you have in America, though.
That's just true.
Terribly jerky.
Looking at some of that stuff at Oktoberfest, I was like, what? No, absolutely not.
Spinning within spinning, and even the Schiffschaukel, they'll just go crazy.
Yeah. I got no scariness. I'm not afraid of rides or roller coasters or anything, but some of that stuff at Oktoberfest, those German carnival rides, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. That's just designed to break my neck or make me throw up or both.
Break neck. You get whiplash on those things. Here's a bonus word of the week. Schiffschaukelbremse.
I don't know.
Which even in German is a compound word, but my brother was in the army, and same as me, we had to go. And the guy, you have to put your occupation, right? So it's these 19-year-olds, and one of the guys who served with him put his occupation as Schiffsschaukelbremse, the guy who applies the brakes to that ride with the ship.
Oh,
it's a job. It's an occupation, right?
Brakeman.
Yeah, but only for that ride. It's not a universal brakeman.
That's funny.
Schiffsschaukelbremse.
Nice one.
Yeah, there you go. But Geisterbahn is officially
good one.
The word, yeah.
I have insisted that your dad do spooky Halloween themed words.
Even though Halloween hasn't been huge in Germany, although it's become apparently quite a thing in the last few years. Perhaps, what was it? Because they couldn't have Carnival in the last year with COVID, so people are like, we'll do Halloween instead.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Look, I think everybody needs more holidays where they get to dress up, do spooky shit, eat candy, have parties.
The candy's a total win.
I mean
that's you grow up loving it because of that.
That is all.
The scariness develops later.
Great,
but
costume,
free candy.
Free candy.
Oh.
the best. It's the best. One of my friends was like, who I met as an adult, he's like, well, we don't really do Halloween because we're Jewish. And I was like, it has nothing
to do with that.
Like, this is a totally secular, put on a costume.
But that's a misunderstanding of the whole thing. If you think it's a Christian holiday.
Yeah. I mean, I get that, like, it has those origins, but, like, come on. You put on a costume, you go get candy. You don't have to talk about God.
At all.
No.
In fact, it's
spooky shit.
Probably anathema to some people.
I'd be pissed off if someone were talking about saints and they come trick-or-treating. I'd be like, here's a pencil. Get out of here.
It's one of these days I'll tell the story of my mom's Halloween and how she dealt with it. Not today, though.
Okay, I'm going to put it. I have a running.
As we get closer to Halloween, maybe I'll talk to her. I'll tell that story because it's a little bit weird.
I've got a no rules section, my little file that I keep the notes in.
Nice.
I have a running list of things to talk about on the next no rules podcast.
Okay.
So I just put Halloween Ingo Mom on the list.
Perfect. Great. That'll be trigger enough.
There are 3 things on the list so far: Halloween Ingo Mom, Galapagos waffle, and guac dick pics.
Yes. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
It's worth your while.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for everybody who cheered me on in person and virtually at the Boston Marathon. It made me very happy and feel extremely loved this week. And
thank you for your service of doing the marathon and giving us all someone to track.
Yeah, you're welcome. And also supporting CRI. I mean, like, I ran for them, but you all gave them the money. I mean, I gave them some money too. But
they have a nice boathouse.
Yeah. Great.
Okay,
thanks, everybody. Get vaccinated if you haven't. Keep wearing your mask. Don't put anyone unless they ask you to.
Correct.
Bye.
Bye.